Amazon made $77 billion in profit last year. Almost none of it came from the boxes on your porch. That's not an insult to the retail business. It's a real accounting quirk hiding inside one of the most recognizable companies on earth. And once you see where the profit actually comes from, you start to understand why Amazon looks like a store but behaves like something else entirely. It started in 1994 in a garage in Seattle as an online bookstore. Books weren't chosen by accident. They were cheap to ship, easy to catalog, and no physical shop could ever stock the millions of titles a website could list in a single database. That one structural advantage, infinite shelf space, became the blueprint for everything Amazon would build next.
For the first 2 decades, Amazon barely turned a profit. Some years, it lost money outright. Investors were furious. Wall Street called it reckless. But the pattern was consistent. Every spare dollar went straight back into warehouses, delivery trucks, and computer infrastructure. It wasn't a company failing to make money. It was a company choosing growth over profit, betting that scale today would be worth more than earnings today. That bet is the reason Amazon now touches almost every part of modern commerce. Start with the part everyone already understands: the online store. In 2025, Amazon's online stores generated real revenue, but retail runs on razor-thin margins, often in the low single digits. Sell a $15 phone case, and after shipping, storage, and returns, the actual profit left over is small. Retail is Amazon's front door. It brings people in. But the front door was never designed to be the profit center.
So Amazon built a second layer on top of it, the marketplace. Today, more than 60% of everything sold on Amazon's platform comes not from Amazon itself, but from independent, third-party sellers. Amazon doesn't own that inventory. It doesn't ship most of it directly. Instead, it charges sellers for the privilege of reaching its customers, referral fees for every sale, storage fees for keeping products in its warehouses, and fulfillment fees for packing and shipping. In 2023, the U.S. Federal Trade Commission and 17 state attorneys general sued Amazon over exactly this system, alleging in their complaint that combined fees can force many sellers to hand over close to half of their total revenue just to stay visible on the platform. Amazon has denied wrongdoing, and the case is still working through federal court. But the underlying math is not in dispute. The marketplace turns millions of small businesses into a recurring revenue stream, whether or not any single seller succeeds.
Layered on top of that is advertising. Sponsored listings that push a product to the top of your search results. It's a business most shoppers barely notice, and it has quietly grown into one of Amazon's fastest expanding, highest margin segments, generating tens of billions of dollars a year by selling something Amazon has in nearly unlimited supply: your attention. Then there's Prime, a single annual subscription, priced differently depending on your country, that bundles fast shipping, streaming video, and music into one recurring payment. Subscriptions like this don't just generate revenue, they change behavior. Once you've paid for free shipping, you're far less likely to check a competitor's price. Prime isn't really selling shipping speed. It's selling loyalty, in advance, once a year.
But here's the twist almost nobody sees coming, because it has nothing to do with shopping at all. In 2006, Amazon quietly launched Amazon Web Services, cloud computing, essentially renting out computer storage and processing power to other businesses. In 2025, AWS brought in $128 billion in revenue. That sounds enormous until you compare it to Amazon's total revenue that year, $717 billion. AWS is only about 18% of the company's total sales. And yet, AWS alone generated $45.6 billion in operating profit, well over half of Amazon's entire $80 billion operating income, from a segment that makes up less than a fifth of its revenue. Read that twice if you need to. The company famous for selling you socks and coffee makers earns most of its actual profit renting out servers to other businesses. Companies like Netflix and Adobe are widely reported to run parts of their infrastructure on AWS. Revenue tells you how much money comes in. Profit tells you how much a company actually keeps. And on that second number, cloud computing, not shopping, is Amazon's real engine.
Put all of it together, and a very different picture forms. Amazon isn't one business pretending to be another. It's a layered ecosystem where retail attracts the customer, the marketplace multiplies the sellers, advertising monetizes attention, Prime locks in loyalty, and AWS quietly funds the entire operation from behind the scenes. Each layer feeds the next. That structure is genuinely hard to copy, which is exactly why so few competitors have managed it. None of this makes Amazon untouchable. The same FTC lawsuit could force real changes to how the marketplace and search algorithms operate. Regulators in the European Union have also scrutinized how Amazon uses seller data. Warehouse working conditions have drawn scrutiny from U.S. safety regulators over injury reporting and pace of work. And even Amazon gets big bets wrong. In 2014, it launched the Fire Phone to compete with the iPhone. It flopped so badly, the company wrote off roughly $170 million in unsold inventory and killed the product within about a year. The lesson wasn't that Amazon lost its touch. It was that the same capital-heavy, bet-big strategy that built AWS can also build expensive failures. The company just has enough profit elsewhere to absorb the loss and move on.
So, if there's one number to remember, it's this. Retail brought in the majority of Amazon's revenue in 2025, but cloud computing brought in the majority of its profit. That gap between what a company sells the most of and what actually makes it money is the real story behind almost every giant business. And Amazon just happens to be the clearest example of it running in plain sight, one delivery box at a time.